Yeah, can you
Yeah,
see in your messenger? It says the session is being recorded.
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead. Start the end. Harish.
yeah. Sure. So yesterday we have seen what is cloud computing, what is Salesforce.com. We discussed like our course actually deals with the PaaS offered by Salesforce, which is the Force.com, and we said like CRM is in fact software as a service. And next we said like at Salesforce PaaS we can build business applications, plus we could customize, build the actual CRM, and we could also perform integration. This is what the PaaS of Salesforce actually supports. Now going ahead or moving one step ahead, let us now dive into Salesforce, and in short we always write it as SFDC Salesforce.com. So now let us enter into Salesforce and see what exactly is available in Salesforce. So when we start discussing about Salesforce, the basic things that which we discuss is the editions of Salesforce, the versions of Salesforce, and we discuss about the environments of Salesforce, like where exactly do we work, what do we do, how does everything work. So these are the primary components if someone wants to use Salesforce. So let us come the other way around. Let us start it with versions first. Let us put version first. So like the current versions of Salesforce. Salesforce always comes up with three primary versions, which is seasonal actually. So one is the spring, the other is summer, another one is winter. So Salesforce versions are seasonal, and followed by every season we have a numeric value. So the current version that which we would be using is spring 13. Sooner we would be having the summer 13, and later we would be having winter 14. It's in fact not 13. Winter 13 is already completed. The numeric is marked based upon the year in which the climate ends, the season ends. So this spring ends in 13, this summer ends in 13, but the winter which begins in this year is going to end in 14. So the versions are marked in this way. So followed by that winter 14, we would be getting a version which is spring 14. So this generally continues. So then summer 14, then winter 15. So this is the pattern in which versions in Salesforce are marked. Apart from these, like we have the autumn version as well as the fall, the other two versions, but only twice they have released these as minor versions. But the major versions are all spring, summer and winter. The current version that we would be using is spring 13, and at any point of time it might upgrade to summer 13 because summer 13 is already launched. Salesforce has announced that summer 13 is launched. So at any point of time, any fraction of a second, directly our environment would change from spring 13 to summer 13. We do not have to change anything at our end. Everything gets automatically updated. Whatever we have created, built, developed and stored in spring 13, everything will be made available for summer 13. So we would not be losing any data or any feature, but along with that we would be getting if there are any additional features as well. So this is pertaining to the versions of Salesforce. Next we have editions of Salesforce. Like editions are something like we have 5 paid editions and 1 free edition. So altogether we have 6 editions of Salesforce. An edition could be something like here in India we put it this way: when we use a mobile phone, a SIM card, then vendor of that SIM card gives us something called tariffs. They provide us with tariffs. Depending upon our consumption, we choose a monthly plan. Like I would go with a monthly plan of 250 rupees, 450 rupees, 650 rupees or 100 rupees. We do have various monthly rentals. Same way, Salesforce also offers 5 editions, which are 5 different tariffs, monthly rentals, But in fact, along with that rental, it is always the technicality of it, like what technical features do we get. So all the 5 editions support the same technical features, but there is a difference in the bandwidth, that is usage of that feature. So I might say I can send emails. So send email is a functionality which Salesforce offers me. In one edition it could be like 10 mails per day. In another edition it could be 1 lakh mails per day. So the bandwidth of the technicality varies, but the technical features more or less 99% they're all same. So all 5 paid editions have the same technical features, but with a variation in their consumption, that is the bandwidth. These 5 editions are, like, we have Contact Manager, we have Group Edition, we have Professional Edition, we have Enterprise Edition, and the last one is Unlimited Edition. We do have these 5 paid editions. The Contract Manager starts somewhere like with $5 per month per user. For every user of Salesforce, when the client pays $5 per month, that's the cheapest rate what they offer. Unlimited might go even up to $150 per user per month. The rate varies, and all these rates are 100% negotiable. They keep changing. So there's no fixed hard and fast rule like we'd be paying $150 per user per month. It's quite negotiable. It can come down even up to $70, $40, $45 also. So we have these 5 editions. These are just name wise which we need to remember them. There is nothing much to do with these editions, but whenever we go for interview and when we work, we say like, have you worked on, like, which edition of Salesforce have you worked? So the most common editions which we quote are either Professional Edition, Enterprise Edition, or Unlimited Edition. We generally do not project Contact Manager as well as Group. So Professional, Enterprise, or Unlimited, all 3 are accepted. And the look and feel, the components available there, the way we work is same in all the 5 editions. It works the same. So these are the 5 editions that which we have, and along with this 5 editions, paid ones, we do have a free edition, and this free edition is named as Developer Edition. The free edition is named as Developer Edition. Again, it is same as that of those 5 editions. All technical features are same. The only difference is this is a free edition, and there is a business policy of Salesforce behind this free edition of Salesforce. So let us see which companies go with the 5 editions and which companies actually go with the free edition. And one more point, across all the editions there would be only one version working. It cannot be like Contact Manager is working with Spring and my Enterprise Edition is in fact working with the Winter Edition. That does not happen. All editions of Salesforce, all the 6 editions of Salesforce work with the same version. The version is a global version. No client can choose a version of their choice, because in cloud computing, maintenance, upgradation, installation, everything is dedicated to the vendor. It is a vendor's responsibility. So the vendor does not give options to the users to choose versions, but the vendor gives edition options to the clients and they can choose whichever edition they want. So now let us come to the business aspect of it. Who works with the 5 paid editions and who is going to work with the free edition? Let us take an example of Reebok. Reebok wants to build some apps. Let us put it very simple. They require a CRM. Let us put it in a very
Harish,
simple.
one question.
Reebok wants a CRM. Sorry.
Yeah, Harish.
Shall I continue?
Yeah, one small question.
Please, please.
Yeah, you said like in every versions there will be some updations and upgradations.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter with different editions, or it matters?
Doesn't change. If it is upgraded, it gets upgraded in all the editions.
In all the editions, because
Yes.
while I'm working now,
So it's a global one.
because I'm working now, I mean
Yeah.
to say my experience. I want to share my
Uh-huh.
experience. So I am using a sandbox. Okay.
Fine.
Yeah. There, all the new updations have been happened, and I can see.
Hmm.
I mean, whatever it comes in this edition, it will be quoted in new as new, right? In every edition, it
Right.
says like
Yeah.
that. But in
Yeah.
developer edition, it didn't happen to me. That's why I'm asking you.
Yeah. So
Uh,
that's it. I mean, we'll come to the environments. That actually belongs to the environments, right?
mhm.
So now we are in the additions part.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, carry on. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. So assume Reebok company, it's a client now and it wants a CRM, and this CRM is offered by Salesforce. Chalo. Salesforce.com gives a plain CRM which might not serve any business. So what Reebok does is Reebok has an IT consultant, and these people recommend that fine, let us work with TCS and build our CRM on the platform of Salesforce. So TCS would take up the responsibility. It will gather the requirements of Reebok, and these requirements it will reflect into the Salesforce.com CRM, and this would now be used by Reebok. So this is a general way how a project is built in Salesforce. Now focusing on that, Reebok would be the company that which is going to work with a specific edition. So for that edition, Reebok is going to pay Salesforce. Reebok would pay the amount, whatever they are going to consume, that amount would be paid to Salesforce. And Reebok would say TCS is the company which is going to customize the entire CRM for us, and we would be using that specific product. Then TCS on the other side is going to be a development company which will work on the edition which is purchased by Reebok. So TCS would be the development team that which is going to create, build, configure components in the edition which is taken by Reebok or which is hired by Reebok. So this is how the funda works. Out of the 5 paid editions, TCS would recommend Reebok, which would be the most suitable. Salesforce also supports or helps their clients to choose the better edition so that they do not waste the resources, and they fix up a proper rate, and Reebok pays that rate to Salesforce. TCS does not pay to Salesforce. TCS here becomes a developing partner or a business partner of Salesforce.com because they are providing this service to Reebok. In turn, Reebok is using Salesforce. So TCS plus Salesforce are now partners who would be providing services to Reebok. And whatever revenue is paid by Reebok to SFDC, SFDC shares it a part with TCS, and Reebok would additionally be paying to TCS for the development purpose. So Reebok is paying TCS. The purpose for that is creating the app or developing the app. Reebok is paying SFDC because it is using their PaaS as well as their SaaS. So these are the main constraints when a client will pay the development company as well as the vendor. Now coming to the free edition. What is that free edition? Now why doesn't Reebok go with a free edition? Why it should go with a paid edition? The reason behind this free edition is free editions are offered to TCS or Wipro or Accenture. Several hundreds of companies are there. Even somebody can get partnered with the Salesforce guys, and we do get a free edition. Now what happens on this free edition? In this free edition, these development companies would be developing certain applications or products. These products are not as per requirement of a specific client. These are pretty generic products which are specialized in the domain of the client developers. The developers know. Like for example, I require an SFDC to Gmail integration. I require an SFDC to Gmail integration. Any email which comes into my Gmail account, I need to take their information and push it into Salesforce. Now this is an integration between Salesforce and Gmail. Now Reebok requires it, McDonald's requires it, KFC might require it, Nestle can require it, Cadbury's might require it, Coke can require it, any company would require this. Then TCS would create this product as Salesforce to Gmail integration product, and this product would be posted at appexchange.com. And the product which was earlier created for Reebok cannot be posted at AppExchange. So AppExchange products are open to all. Whereas when it has been the previous 5 editions, it is exclusively for a specific client. Others cannot get involved and they cannot access that environment which was restricted for Reebok. No app of Reebok can be accessed by outsiders. It's 100% secure. And the app which is posted at AppExchange, any of the clients, thousands of clients can acquire that app and they can start using it. Yesterday we have seen this when we moved into AppExchange. Yeah, in AppExchange at the bottom we could see 1,822 apps. On the other side it is 18,25,000 installations. So one app has been nearly implemented thousands of times. So one app can be shared by n number of clients. So for that purpose, Salesforce actually offers these free editions. So it's a two-way business which is done by Salesforce. They create exclusive products for clients and the revenue gets generated from there. And they create open apps which is shared across the clients, and again the clients will like either go with the paid apps or they might even work with the free apps. Like if we just check into that box again, we have there's another report here. It specifies 44% of the apps are free, 56% of the apps are paid apps. For these paid apps, again revenue gets shared between the development company plus SFDC, and the amount is again paid by the clients. So this is where Salesforce is actually dominating the cloud market. So they create exclusive products and they also create shared market or an open market kind of thing, or they have a marketplace where apps can be purchased by anyone. So this is the basic difference that which we have, the free edition as well as the 5 paid editions. So here in this course, like we would be working with the free edition. So we would be working on developer edition, but technical features wise all have the same technical features with slight 1 degree, and definitely we would be discussing that 1 degree. That's not an issue. So is this edition concept clear?
Yeah, clear, Harish.
Hello? Yeah, fine. Chalo. So now we are through with the versions. We are familiar with the editions. Now let us come to the environments. Let us move to the environments. Like, what are the environments in Salesforce? So the environments in Salesforce, we have 2 basic fundamental environments. One is known as a sandbox and the other is known as production. We have sandbox and we have production, 2 basic environments in Salesforce. The sandbox is used by development company and production is used by the client company. There are 3 types of sandboxes. One we call it as configuration sandbox. This configuration sandbox supports only GUI operations. I'll just move down. This is our first job profile in SFDC, which is called as configuration. So in a job descriptions, when we look in, they specify or they ask you like, are you familiar with the configuration of Salesforce? We say, yeah, we are familiar. So this is that. So one sandbox which supports configuration. There's a second type of sandbox which is called as developer sandbox. This developer sandbox, here everything is achieved through scripting. We perform scripting here, and whatever task is achieved, we do it through scripting. This developer sandbox gives us two further job profiles, the second and the third job profile. The second job profile is developer and the third job profile is a tester. So these are the other two job profiles available. How come testing comes here, whereas if I'm working on Java or something else, there is a different tester actually, but here this is not the case. We need to be familiar with development as well as testing. And we have the third sandbox, which is known as full copy sandbox. Third is full copy sandbox. The name itself says full copy. It supports GUI operations and it also supports scripting operations. So it supports everything completely there. So both are available for us. This full copy sandbox, the name itself says it's a full copy. The complete product will be existing in the full copy sandbox after thorough testing, and this full copy sandbox will always contain the real world data. From the full copy sandbox, now the product goes to the production. The product which has been created now actually goes to the production, and the employees of the client company start using this product, and all these employees of the client company are marked as users who are in fact using the product which is developed by the development company in the sandbox. So now this environment is available in all our 5 paid editions. All the 5 paid editions have these environments, the sandbox as well as the production. So everything works here, but the users who are working here in the client organization, in the client environment, are not those guys who know how to work on Salesforce. These guys are only trained how to use the product, how to feed data into the product, how to save transactions there. They do not understand Salesforce. They are end users of an application. Like for example, I know like I can send an email. I am trained to send an email. I can receive email, I can read email, I can forward emails. So I'm only familiar with the usage part. I don't know how to configure an email server, how to receive a mail, and how does it forward. So I'm not aware with the technicality. Same way the people, the users here do not understand Salesforce. They just know how to use a product, how to feed data, and how to execute it. So these users require a supervisor who is going to monitor them, who is going to set permissions to them. Every user will not have entire permissions to access the entire product or to access the entire data in that product. So there will be a supervisor who would be specifying access levels, who would be specifying permissions, who would be creating these users. Various users might enter into the organization, users might leave the organization. So the manages the users in the organization, he manages the company profile, he takes care of various aspects of the client side. This guy is the one who knows Salesforce, who can work in Salesforce. this is our fourth job profile, which is called as administrator. This is the administrator job profile which is available in Salesforce, and vocabulary wise it is read as system administrator. The system administrator does not have to know any networking concepts, neither database concepts nor operating system concepts. System administrator in this context of Salesforce, he's a guy who is capable of managing SFDC environment in the client's world. He is the guy who can take care of the client's world on Salesforce platform. So is this aspect of environment clear?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
How about
So,
other guys?
on one hand we have the sandbox, and on the other hand we have the production. This
Yeah,
development,
we are good.
sorry.
Yeah, we are good. Please good.
Yeah, fine. Yeah, so the development is taking place in the sandbox and the product is used in the production. When we, turn it around and look at in cloud computing vocabulary, the place where development takes place is actually PaaS, and a place where the product is used actually becomes, is SaaS. And moving a product from PaaS to SaaS is called as deployment here. So product is created on the PaaS and it is moved to SaaS. This process is called as deployment, or moving a product from sandbox to production, we call it as deployment. So this is the way in which all 5 paid editions work. I'm sorry. So this is all about the 5 paid editions, and we are left out with the 6th edition, which is a free edition, and that edition is the developers edition. The developer edition has a single environment. We have a single environment where we can configure we can script, we can test, we can also perform administration. Everything can be performed in a single environment. This is how it appears in developer edition. But all the features which are available there and here are same, and in the same environment we can navigate between the SaaS and the PaaS of Salesforce. So in the same single environment we have both PaaS as well as SaaS. It's a simple mouse click which moves us from PaaS to SaaS and SaaS to PaaS. So this is what actually happens there. So there are no different instances of sandboxes like developer or full copy or configuration sandbox. Even though we create a sandbox, it doesn't restrict any technical features or anything as such. So everything in fact works in the same way. So is this environment part clear with respect to the 6 editions? Fine.
It's all fine.
Now, how do we get started to work on Salesforce? Where do we start working? And what exactly is available? Like yesterday we discussed about certain partners in Salesforce. One of the partner we said is a technical guide, and that technical guide is developerforce.com. We go to this website and we get registered. It's a free of cost registration. We can, because this gives us this leads us actually to the developer edition. There is no rule that we shouldn't get registered with the other editions. We can as well work with the other editions also, but the only thing is the other editions are free only for 30 days. Thereafter we lose the account. If we don't pay for it, we lose that account. So after practicing everything and having our data in that, and if you lose those editions or if you lose the copy of it, it makes no sense. So initially we would be working with the developer edition. Once we are comfortable with everything, we can go for the free registration, then start looking around there. Then technically everything looks same, whether it is a developer edition or it is any other, the professional, unlimited or the enterprise editions. So more or less all are same. So we get registered here. Now couple of things in the context of cloud computing. In clouds we have three models. There are three types of clouds, or cloud computing is deployed in three models. The cloud computing services are offered in three models. One is private cloud, second is public cloud, and third is a hybrid cloud. We have three deployment models of cloud. I'm not speaking of Salesforce. This is in the context of cloud computing. Private cloud, like all the clouds, offer the three services or whichever service individually they would like to offer. That is infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, or software as a service. All the three services or combination of them or permutations, combinations of them are valid. A private cloud, all the three services are restricted to a fixed community of users, or other way around, it is not open to all. Everyone can just come and start using it. For example, I want an email ID which looks like harish@microsoft.com, harish@infosys.com. So practically this might not be feasible until and unless I am associated with those companies. Or else for any person, they just don't come and say, you can create an email ID with us, we'll support you. They don't do that. But on the other hand, if I require a Gmail ID, I mean it's quite open, anyone can get registered and start using it. Then that is called a public cloud. It is open to all. The services which are offered, that service is open to all the users. Anyone can get registered there. It could be paid, it could be free. They can start using the services. Hybrid cloud is a combination of private and public. Certain features are private, certain features are public, or certain services are restricted in access, whereas certain services are open to everyone. So hybrid, the name itself says, hybrid is in fact a, it's in fact a combination of private cloud as well as a public cloud. Now coming to Salesforce.com, Salesforce.com is a public cloud. It is open to all. We can get registered and start using it. But again we said, like, Gmail is a public cloud, Salesforce is a public cloud, but there is a subtle variation there. There is a small difference between the public cloud of Salesforce and the public cloud of Google. The difference is Google or the Gmail, let us be very specific. If I say Gmail, any user can come, get registered, and they start using it. So Gmail is considered as like, it's for individual users. Any single person can go there and just start working with it. But when it comes to SFDC, though it is public, it is not a single user registration. It is actually a company registration. A company acquires the registration of Salesforce, and employees of that company use Salesforce. So I just can't go there and get registered as Harish and I just can't keep using it. I need to register it on behalf of some company, and as an employee of that company, I can use the public cloud of Salesforce. Any company can get registered. We say like it is public because there is no verification performed as such. Is your company actually existing or not? You give any name, it accepts it. Even it's a duplicate name, still it accepts it. Absolutely no issues in that. So it is a company registration, and we as individuals, employees of that company, on behalf of the company, start using Salesforce. So though Gmail and SFDC both are public clouds, this is the subtle variation in them. Gmail is for individual user, individual registration. Salesforce is a company registration and can be used by all the employees of that company. So this is the three models of cloud and how Salesforce offers its services. So now, going to the developerforce.com, we can get registered there, we can start using there. Registration is quite simple, 6 to 7 fields. It will prompt for a username, simple. It will ask like how many employees are there in your company, which country is your company, what is your PIN code, gives a captcha, submit, everything is done. But the thing is, the username must be in an email ID format, that is name@something.com. It should be in an email ID format, and it will also prompt for an email ID. The username and email ID both could be same or both could be different, but the email ID must be a valid email ID. Username could be the same replication of this email ID, 100% accepted, but in that case we can create only one account for one email. So what we generally do is we retain the same email ID and we specify various usernames so that we can get multiple accounts on behalf of a single email ID, and this is permitted. N number of usernames can be registered with respect to one email ID. There is no limit on that. So we use our same Gmail email ID and we use different usernames in email ID format, and that continues. Once this is done, Salesforce will post an email to our email ID where it will prompt for a password confirmation. So we type the password, we retype the password, and we give a hint question there, we give the answer for that, and once we submit it, we are actually now inside salesforce.com. So we can do that practically as well, but let us share a common account for this purpose. So you guys can do it. I'll just show you the initial part of it. The developerforce.com. Just a second, I have a personal call. I'll just pick it up and get it. Just a couple of minutes.
Shanmugam, you there?
Yes, Vikas.
Yeah, what happened? Mother left?
I don't know. I think he'll connect again.
Sir, he'll connect again. Hello? Okay, yesterday's meeting, I'm sending it now. Just try next time, please.
Okay.
Yeah, in Skype, just accept it.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sorry. Shall we continue?
Yeah, continue.
Hello?
Yeah, continues.
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is our website, developerforce.com. On the right side, we do have the join now. We'll go to that a bit later. Before that, we can look into a couple of tabs here. We do have the technical library. So that's why we say developerforce.com is the technical guide of Salesforce. So we do have various technical aspects here, various forums and boards, blogs wherein we can discuss like what's going on in Salesforce. And then like we can join. So it has asked for first name, last name, email, a job role, company, country, postal, username, sign in, that's it. So let's create a common ID. One of us can do that.
I'll do it
So
by
just
tomorrow
give a
in the
batch a
morning.
name and register it at, let us put it at some name, oscarit.com. So that should be the username. Sorry. We can specify some username at @oscarit.com, and we could probably create a Gmail account also on that and register with that Gmail ID, so that we can all have access to the ID whenever required and wherever we work. So the account will be open to all of us. So once we get registered with the salesforce.com, and once we start using, once we enter into Salesforce, what do we find in Salesforce? What is available in Salesforce? Right? So once we enter into Salesforce, we should be knowing the basic vocabulary in Salesforce. What exists in Salesforce? Once I enter into Salesforce, what is available for me to work, right? So once if I go to a driving school, and if I want to learn a car, he doesn't start the driving initially. He says like there is a steering, there is an accelerator, there is a brake, there is a clutch. It first describes like what is there in that environment. There's a dashboard, there's a speedometer there, there's a fuel indicator. There's a various indicators there. So gives us a clarity like what is there and how to read it. Same way, before we start working in Salesforce, we need to be familiar with the basic vocabulary available there. So the first thing which we need to know is application. In Salesforce, we have something called application. Any environment we go, we definitely have applications, but in short, here we call it as apps. And apps are nothing but some set of services. App is a set of services which can be used by a client. Next, we have something called as tab. Tab is something like link to a page. Tab is a link. On a browser, when we right click and say open a new tab, it opens a separate page there. So it's a link to a separate page. It's linked to a separate page, so generally takes us there. This is the general vocabulary of it, but when we put it in our technical aspects, application is our project and tab is our module there. So a project is actually the application and a module in that project is considered as tab. So just to relate them, one app can contain n modules, right? One project can contain multiple modules, and one module can also be used across multiple projects. So there is an end-to-end relationship between apps, tabs. There's an end-to-end relationship, a many-to-many relationship between apps and tabs. Next, going a step further, first two words are clear. One is app and the other is tab. Then we come to a more of Salesforce vocabulary word, which is known as S-object, which stands for Salesforce object. It is nothing but a name given to a storage space. It's a name given to a storage space, more or less like putting it in a very simple thing. This is nothing but, with respect to database, it is a table. So normal database we call it as a table. In Salesforce here we call it as S object, which is going to hold data in it. It's a storage space that can hold data. What data it can hold? To represent that data, we create certain fields. Fields will identify what exactly needs to be stored in the S object. So these are our properties, this could be our attributes, this could be our features, whatever can be stored on the S object of Salesforce. Again, to correlate all the components, one tab can be connected only with one S object. At this point of time we cannot prove it, but definitely down the line we shall prove it. So one tab is connected only to one S object, and one S object can have multiple fields. So one tab is connected to one S object, and one S object can have multiple fields. And now the other part. So we know app, tab, S object, field, and then followed by that we have something called data. Data is nothing but a value which we enter against a field. So value against a field is nothing but a data, and then we do have something called record, which is a horizontal collection of our data. So these are the first 6 basic things. The moment we enter into Salesforce, these things will surround us: app, tab, S object, field, data, and records. Now let us come to the actual part of Salesforce. What governs the Salesforce? Even our environment, the moment we log in, there is something called as profile. We do have something called profile. In Salesforce, a profile is something which determines set of permissions to the users. It determines the set of permissions to the users. What permissions? Which permissions? It determines the CRUD permissions. It determines the CRUD permissions. What does this CRUD stand for? Hope you are all familiar. Just to recap it: create, read, update, and delete permissions. It either grants the permission or it can as well revoke the permission. So these 4 permissions are given to the user through a component called profile. So profile governs the users in Salesforce by giving them the CRUD permissions. But CRUD permissions over what? What is the user? What the user is going to create? What is he going to read? What is he going to update? What is he going to delete? All the things which you have previously discussed. Create, read, write, and update apps, tabs, S objects, and fields. So profile determines the CRUD permissions of a user in Salesforce in order to work over apps, tabs, S objects, and fields. We are still left out with data and records. So there is a component called role. Role determines who can access which data. A role determines who can access which data. So this is the basic vocabulary the moment we enter into Salesforce. So the moment we are in Salesforce, we are surrounded by all these components: app, tab, S object, field, data, profile, as well as role. So this would now help us in creating the functional flow of Salesforce. So we generally go to salesforce.com website. From there we log in. The moment we log in, the profile captures that user. This profile will determine which apps will decide the tabs. Tab is connected to S object. S object is connected to fields. Across the fields, to work with the data, we have role. Role decides who can access which data. So this is the functional flow. Generally needs to be drawn vertically, but I mean it's not possible on the dot, so we have created it horizontally. So Salesforce.com stands on top. Underneath that we have the login. Once we log in, the profile takes control of that user and it will allow them to access the apps, tabs, subjects, fields. Role comes into the picture and makes sure who is going to access which data. So this is how our Salesforce entire environment is governed. So I mean by this, like we are now done with the versions, editions, environment. We are familiar with the vocabulary of Salesforce. So this is our prerequisite, in fact, to enter into Salesforce. Versions, editions, environments, and basic vocabulary in Salesforce. So if we can create the IDs and get it done, then we can start working with Salesforce, and we would be definitely working as of now on the developer edition. So we will be working with the developer edition. Yes, initially we will be working with the developer edition. Yes. Sorry?
It has to go on mute, I think.
Because the developer edition is the free edition, right? And when we get registered at developerforce.com, we get the developer edition.
Okay, there is a click, sir. If I want to go for a like say some other edition which is only valid for 30 days. Okay.
Yeah.
So what all data I have, what all the metadata I have created, and what all data I stored in it, can I pull that information and data into the developer edition?
No.
We can't.
But there is a, I mean, legally it is not possible, but there's a way to do with it. We can make use of Eclipse and we can do that.
Okay. And not with like.
But I mean, Salesforce
data.
directly does not give. I mean, we do it in a different way. But that's possible. We can do it. Metadata from any edition, we can pull it into any other edition, or of one company, we can pull it into another company. I mean, if we have legal access to both the companies, illegally it is not possible. Like both of us are working on a same. I mean, you have your data and I have my metadata. We both can share that metadata given the access.
Okay.
We can do that. Alright. So now the most important aspect. Once we get registered at developerforce.com, the account will be valid for unlimited time duration. It is not a 30-day, 40-day, 1-year, 2-year trial. It is an unlimited time duration account, but we'll have to be cautious about one thing. If we do not access the account for a period of 2 months, it gets blocked. So we will be losing whatever was available in that specific account. So I mean, 2 months of idle period is like too much. We might not get stuck with such a situation, but we need to always remember this. A developer edition is free and never gets expired until and unless we leave it idle for a period of 2 months. This is the first aspect. Next, there cannot be a user in Salesforce. There cannot be a user in Salesforce without a profile. No user can exist in Salesforce without a profile. Profile is a mandatory feature of any user who enters into Salesforce. So now we are saying like we would be creating a username, we would get a user account. Then what is going to be our profile? Our profile by default is system administrator. By default, we become the system administrator of this company. Always remember, it's not an individual registration, it's a company registration. We are a user in that company and our profile is system administrator. And like earlier mentioned, system administrator is the super user. This super user creates additional users. Now, who made us the system administrator? There is a golden rule in Salesforce which says if we get registered at developerforce.com for the developer edition, that user who gets registered, that user profile is going to be system admin. So by default we become the system admin. Later on that is editable, but generally we don't lose that system admin profile, because system admin is super user. He has control over everything in the organization, and in one organization we can nearly create 5,550 odd users. In the free edition itself we can create 5,550 approximately, one or two more or less, we can create these users. But understand, all these users will be created by the system administrator. All these users further will be created by the system administrator. This is very important. Within the environment of the company, there cannot be a second user created at developer force for the same company. It is 100% impossible. Second user of the company cannot be created at developerforce.com. Any registration at developerforce.com, whatever username we get registered, always creates a new company. Always creates a new company. In that new company, it creates a system admin profile, and we would become that system admin. So there is no way a second user of a company can be created at developerforce.com. Every registration at developerforce.com creates a new company registration, creates a new system admin in that organization. So this is something which we have to remember. Other users of the company will be created by that system admin within that company environment. Developer force is outside my company. We'll have to log in into the company through this functional flow, Salesforce login profile apps. We enter inside and then we start working with all the components there. So this is how it basically works. So today when you guys, when we get registered, our profile, once it is successfully done, is going to be system administrator, and we would be the super user. We will have all the permissions and we can create additional users in this organization. But a second registration at developer force will always land up as a new company, new admin altogether. But which company? I mean, when we look into that developer edition web page, it doesn't show up any company name, right? First name, last name, email, job role. It is specified here now something called company, and this is where we can specify some company and get registered on behalf of this company. So this is how it is all going to work. So there's a company Sambodhi. So this Sambodhi company gets registered 100 times. You use that Sambodhi, doesn't matter. But the only thing is, username must be unique throughout Salesforce. It is not for a developer edition, not for an organization. Every username is unique throughout the cloud of Salesforce, all the 6 clouds of Salesforce. Just a second. Right, sorry. So this is how it's going to work. And is this clear now? So the background of Salesforce, like what are we going to learn? What is our job profile? So 4 job profiles. We'll have to be very clear with those 4 job profiles. It is going to be configuration, it is going to be development, it is going to be testing, and it is going to be system admin. Now coming to the prerequisites, Configuration is all graphical user interface. Development and testing is all scripting. System administration is again all graphical user interface. We don't have to know any commands, nothing. It is all point and click, drag and drop, such methodologies. So it's quite simple. Development as well as testing, both are done through scripting, and the scripting language supported in Salesforce is Apex. Apex is the proprietary language of Salesforce. Similar to all SAP products are generated in their proprietary language, which is called ABAP. Salesforce works with something called Apex. So there might be several misconceptions here, like should I know Java to understand this Apex, should I know .NET or C++? Nothing doing. We do not require any of those to understand what is Apex. We will start from the scratch. Apex is used for both the purposes, for development as well as testing. So there can't be a separate tester who says I'm going to test Salesforce. Practically might not be feasible, because that Salesforce testing is going to be done in Apex. So without knowing Apex, there is no way a person is going to test it. So these are some essential features, and Apex is something mandatory in this. Don't have to worry about it. We will be doing right from scratch basic part of Apex. Someone knows Java, .NET, fine, good, nothing wrong, but we do not mix it at this stage. At a later point of time, even if you're familiar with those, I mean, the differences will be very evident, very clear why we do not use Java here. Because if Java would have been used here, there is no point Salesforce building Apex, right? Java is a free open source language. Why not use a free language? Why go with Apex? There are definitely certain things which Java does not support, or which might take, like yesterday we have seen, months together, which will be done in days or weeks in Apex. So the purpose or the context of the language of Java, C#, C++, Apex, ABAP, all are completely different. So am I clear with the session part?
Yeah, it's fine, Harish.
Yeah, inshallah then. So hopefully in our next session, we can get registered and we can start working with Salesforce.
Okay.
So we'll be working on the PaaS and SaaS of Salesforce. Sorry.
Madhav,
Harish, actually, you said to create a common profile, right?
Common profile.
I mean, for all of, I mean, not common profile. Maybe you said a common account wherein we can all create.
I mean, individual accounts can also be created.
Okay.
One we can share.
Okay. Because I already have created it.
If I want, okay, created, then that's great. We can share.
Okay. You can share that. That's fine.
yeah, share the credentials and we work on it.
Oh, okay.
And
You can
how
mail
about
those
you?
username, password details.
Yeah, I will
Tomorrow
do
we can
that.
start building
Yeah, I
apps
will
in
do.
Salesforce.
Yeah, I will do that. Hello? Yeah, is
Harish?
everyone?
Yeah.
Shanmugh again, Harish.
Yeah, sure.
Actually, in Salesforce only Apex and Visual Force they are using as a languages, or they are
Yeah,
using
Apex
different
is
languages?
proprietary language in Salesforce, so we would be working with Apex there.
Okay. Okay. I mean, there is no, I mean, any other languages. I mean, each company uses different according to their need.
No.
Not like
Entire
that, right?
Salesforce, everything is done on Apex.
Okay.
Fine.
Anything else?
Yes.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, one last
Yeah,
Harish,
please,
one
please,
last
please,
question.
please,
See,
please.
I have created. I mean, can I create? I mean, with my employer, I have created my credentials in Salesforce. So, can I create another profile with a different email ID?
Yes.
N number of usernames you can create, n number of accounts you can create with the same email ID. The username should not be repeated. The username should be unique. So you can
But-
have like
Okay, but you said
Elizabeth 3, Taylor 1, Taylor 2, Taylor 3, you can have n number of.
Okay, but in your session you said like only one system admin or super user will be allowed and rest of them should be created by the system admin, you said, right?
Yeah.
So,
When you get registered there, right?
right.
When you're getting registered there with a different username at developerforce.com, then that registration will create you a separate company account altogether.
Uh-huh.
Within the company, like you can create user 1, user 2, user 3, user 4, user 5, user 100. For all these users, you can give a same email ID. That's 100%. But a registration at Developer Force will always take you to a new company, new system.
Okay, so that means I cannot go to Developer Force and use the same company to register another ID, right? I cannot do that.
No, that will again create a new company and new system address.
Oh, it will create, I mean, even though I use the same, there's a field called company, right? Even though I use a
Company name same, email same, but still it will assume this is another company, another email.
Oh, it won't check in the back end. It won't check. It's already existing.
Company names.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what it is. It's a public account. It will not cross-verify any company name.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So you can give XYZ ABCD company name also. It is accepted.
And where actually all this data is stored? Is it Oracle? What is the backend database used?
No, I mean that's completely abstracted. All data is stored at database.com.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
Salesforce never reveals like what exactly is the database. Just it's database.com. Your data is stored and retrieved, and I mean that's what it's completely proprietary. I mean once you can look into the course content. So we have here our Apex World first cloud computing language. So here like we will be discussing how to communicate with the database.
Okay. And how is it a RDBMS, that database.com? How powerful it is?
It's not an RDBMS.
Okay.
It's a hierarchical database management system, HDBMS.
Okay.
That itself is our own analysis. Salesforce never reveals that. But the way all our database organized, stored, how do we access and retrieve it, that gives us an idea like it's somewhat hierarchical data. And once we get the account, we can see the graphical view of our database. We will not know like what is our database, but the entire schema we can visualize it.
Okay.
So I think like it's hierarchical.
So I think it creates, if I create using a register with one ID, I think it creates all the different defaulted tables, right? Objects by itself,
Yeah.
right?
There are two things like we mentioned about apps, tabs, objects, fields. Right? So all these components in Salesforce will exist in two ways. Like one is standard, and the other is custom. There would be some default things in Salesforce which we consider as standard. We can create whatever we want, then that is considered as custom. Yeah, is the point clear, like?
Okay. Yeah, I think down the line you will explain more. So I'm right now. I mean,
Because tomorrow, once we enter in fight, we will be having a touch and feel of that. What is app, tab, object? So that gives us an idea. And what do we actually start doing?
Yeah.
Because I mean, course content is there actually, but the thing is, once we log in into Salesforce, that itself will give us the course content. Once we are inside Salesforce, our course content is pretty clear there. What is that we are going to cover in the course? Fine?
Yeah, fine, Harish. Thank you.
Sure. I mean, any queries, like even in the daytime when you're referring back, if there are any queries, please do email me. So that I mean, when I find time, I can immediately reply back to it.
Surely.
Sure. And one last thing, Harish, I think, can you please share yesterday's notes and today's notes?
Yeah, I mean, yesterday I forwarded.
You want to forward? Okay, thank you. Yeah.
No, I didn't
I
get
mean,
it.
every time sharing it on the session name, so instead of a session 2, mark it as session 3. I mean,
Okay.
before I wind up, I generally mail it.
Oh, yeah, yesterday what exactly happened is you just sent a test mail and after that you sent the course contents.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't send this yesterday's session.
Not an issue. I'll just forward it
Yeah,
again.
that's fine. You can forward it now, right? No problem.
Because yesterday's and today's both are in the same doc.
Same time, yes.
Fine. I'm done from my side.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Harish.
Yeah.
Have a
Chala
good
then.
evening.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, Harish, how about today night 9:30?
ఇవాళ కూడా కొంచెం వర్క్ ఉందండి.
ఎందుకంటే నాకు డిలే అవుతుందండి.
రేపు మార్నింగ్ ఏదైనా టైం బుక్ చేయండి మనము లైక్ 6 AM ఇండియా టైం.
6 AM India time? Yeah, fine. That's fine. I think it's 7:30
Fine
night
కదా?
నాకు. Yeah, fine నాకు. అంటే it's yours convenience. అది నేను మీరు
ఆర్ లైక్ రేపే కొంచెం లెంతీ సెషన్ ఈవినింగ్ లో పెట్టుకుందామంటే టుమారో వీ కెన్ హ్యావ్ అ లెంతీ సెషన్.
రేపు చిన్న ప్రాబ్లం ఉంది నాకు. రేపు యాక్చువల్గా నేను డ్రైవింగ్ టెస్ట్ ఇవ్వడానికి వెళ్తున్నాను.
పొద్దున పెట్టుకుందాం, డిలే అయిపోతుంది.
అదే.
సో రేపు మార్నింగ్ ఇండియా టైం ప్రకారంగా 6 కి పెట్టుకుందాం.
Yeah.
మళ్ళీ యాజ్ ఇట్ ఈస్ ఈ 4:30 క్లాస్ మళ్ళీ పెట్టుకుందాం.
4:30. ఇంకోటి అంటే డైలీ ఎట్లనే కంటిన్యూ చేద్దామా లేకపోతే ఓన్లీ ఫర్
చూడండి మీ కన్వీనియన్స్, మీకు ఇంకా వేరే టైంలో చెప్పమన్నా చెప్తాను నేను.
నాకేం ప్రాబ్లం లేదు. నాకేం
అంటే ఇక అది ఇది చెప్తుంటే ఎట్లయిపోతుంది అంటే ఇది వింటున్నారు అది వింటున్నారు అనుకోండి, అది మళ్ళీ ఇది రిపీట్ అవుతుంది కదా. ఇప్పుడు ఇవాళ సెషన్ మోరార్లెస్ మీకు రిపిటేషన్ లాగానే అయిపోయింది.
ఈ రెండు రిపీట్ అయిపోతున్నాయి. నాకేంటంటే డెవలపింగ్ సెపరేట్ గా చెప్పేస్తారేమో అన్నట్టు.
అదే. సో డెవలప్మెంట్ మనం సెపరేట్ చూసుకుందాం, అడ్మిన్ వీళ్ళతో పాటు చేస్తాం.
యా అడ్మిన్ వీళ్ళతో కంప్లీట్ చేసేసుకుంటాను నేను.
సో రేపు 6 o'clock డెవలప్మెంట్ కి కూర్చుందాం మనం.
ఓకే, డెవలప్మెంట్ వాళ్ళతో ఏం లేదు, మన ఇద్దరేమో
అదే
డెవలప్మెంట్
మనం కూర్చుందాం మార్నింగ్ 6 o'clock.
అండ్ మోర్ ఓవర్ అది ఎప్పుడు వాళ్ళకి డీటెయిల్స్ ఎప్పుడు పంపిస్తారు, ఆ అకౌంట్ డీటెయిల్స్, సో దట్ ఐ విల్
అకౌంట్ డీటెయిల్స్ నేను నైట్ పంపిస్తానండి. నేను ఒకసారి తీసుకోవాలి, యాక్చువల్ మన అడ్మిన్ దగ్గర నేను తీసుకోలేదు ఇంకా.
ఓకే ఎందుకంటే సో దట్
forward
నేను వాళ్ళకి కూడా కన్వీనియంట్ గా చెప్తే దే విల్ ప్రిపేర్ టు సెండ్ కదా, సో వోంట్ గెట్ లేట్. అండ్
దానికి ఏమేమి కావాలండి? బ్యాంక్ అకౌంట్, ఐఎఫ్ఎఫ్సి కోడ్ కావాలి కదా. నేమ్, అకౌంట్ నెంబర్, ఐఎఫ్ఎఫ్సి కోడ్ అండ్ బ్రాంచ్ డీటెయిల్స్.
ఐఎఫ్ఎస్సి కోడ్ ఆర్ రూటింగ్ నెంబర్ డిపెండ్స్ అన్నమాట. అది నేను కనుక్కుంటాను ఈ లోపల. నేను
ఒకసారి మీకు చెప్తే ఐ విల్ ప్రొవైడ్ యూ విత్ దోస్ డీటెయిల్స్.
ఓకే ష్యూర్.
చేయాలి అండి మరి.
ఓకే థ్యాంక్స్.
6
o'clock in the sense, make 6 o'clock in the morning, కదా?
మార్నింగ్ 6 o'clock.
So, okay. So, మీకు 7 o'clock మన క్లాస్ లేదా మార్నింగ్?
7 కు ఉంది కదా, మనకి 1 hour సరిపోతుంది రేపు.
Yeah, fine.
7 క్లాస్కి.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
చేయాలి.